Hello, welcome to our monthly president support call. We're going to take up to an hour talking shop. We've got a few topics for today, including discussion about the leadership team transition, how it's going, what's good, so we can steal from each other, and what we're struggling with, so we can get some help. We've got some time to talk about the roundtable and the business plan workshop planned for the end of August. And I think that's about it. And then time for open discussion. So let's dig in. Okay, leadership team transition. So we've got a couple things in place to help with transition. We know that the confirmation forms are due this Friday. If anybody needs any help with that, let me know. The reason I have them due by this Friday is because I need to send out manuals. And I need to get everybody registered on BNI Business Builder for the pre-workshops that people can take for their roles, the mindset workshops that they do through Business Builder. But the big things that we have for the transition are the roundtable in August, which is a huge transition piece if your incoming leadership team wants to come. They don't have to, but it's highly encouraged. And then the business plan workshop, that's a biggie, to help solidify one chapter into the next leadership team. Otherwise, it's just kind of like jumping from one cliff to the next. That's what the business plan workshop is meant to build a bridge between the two terms. So let's talk about the business plan workshop. So some incoming leadership teams want to get involved immediately. In fact, I know that, Rick, you're staying on for not quite a second term because you came on midterm, but you're going to be. Yeah. So you got people like Rick who are staying on.
I think our whole.
Then some of you might already have chapter presidents who are already like, where's the deep end? Like they're already thinking and talking about that. And so I wanted to talk about the August business plan workshop, what to expect, how to get them engaged, so that it's really helpful to them and specifically to your business. You want that president, that incoming leadership team to be really cohesive because that's going to be profitable for your business, right? Like leadership team stuff is just so. So I want to talk about what best practices might you have to help with your transition. Again, BNI Vermont does the business plan workshop. What are you doing? Are you already inviting your incoming leadership team to your leadership team meetings? Are you inviting your incoming leadership team to these support calls? Because we're not inviting them to these support calls. You're allowed to. Are you encouraging them to go to the roundtable? Are you, let's just talk conversion practices. What do you have in mind, or are you already doing to create to build a bridge between your term and the next term? I'll take notes.
Hi, Vicki. Sorry I'm late. It was Eric Kolomaznik's fault. I was doing other BNI stuff. We've done a couple of things. So we've invited our secretary treasurer and our incoming president to our monthly LT meetings. And our incoming president is actually our visitor host coordinator. So she already attends anyway. So she's been part of that whole thing, knows how it works, all that good stuff. And then the three of us for the incoming leadership have started meeting weekly, separate from our existing LT. So, which is where I was just now. So we do that on Tuesdays, but the three of us have started meeting to go over like our transition process, where we're at, who we need forms from, things that come up, ideas that we have, that kind of thing. And then they're going to attend the roundtable as well. But we also have done a lot of like text, email type group stuff back and forth to keep people up to date, because it isn't always, our schedules don't always align to just be meeting. We also use Marco Polo, which is something I wasn't really familiar with, but it's an app. You can make video for people, but it's either, so when I'm talking, if the other person is present, they will get notified that I'm speaking to them. If they're free, they can jump on and watch me live. If they're not, it's recorded, and so they can watch me later. So I can record a message to them. We have like a group, it's like a group chat. I record a message and I say, hey guys, this is what I figured out today. So-and-so said this person's confirmed. Emily, can you follow up with so-and-so? I'll talk to you guys later. And then they can get that on their next break, their lunch hour, after their kids go to bed. And so it helps us keep the communication open. And at first I hated it because I don't like being on video, but I found that it feels more personal. Like you say things that you wouldn't necessarily type in an email, and it helps us feel kind of connected and like a team already. So that's been really cool.
Wow. Has anyone here not used Marco Polo? Just so I know if there's anybody. Okay. It's a walkie-talkie app with video. It's a saved walkie-talkie app. And I have used it. I don't have it on my phone right now, but I have used it in the past, but I just don't really have anybody to use it with. So I use Voxer, which is a walkie-talkie app. It has no video. That's really fascinating that you're using Marco Polo. It is free, by the way, if anybody's interested. And yeah, you just get on it and you're like, hey, Larry, hey, I wanted to give you a heads up. This happened. I hope you're having an amazing day. And it just sits there until Larry checks his Marco Polo app. What a fascinating, I've never heard of anybody using it in BNI. That's really cool.
So Julie, way to make the rest of us feel inadequate. Thank you.
Oh, she's Larry.
I'm just sharing what works, and I'm not taking credit for it either. Emily actually uses it as part of her life coaching, which I'm also a client. And she gave us accountability buddies to do accountability check-ins. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of vulnerability and stuff that you share in that kind of accountability. And it just, versus a text, I was shocked at just how much more personal it is and how people are really real. Like, hey, I'm really struggling today. I'm trying to do this. And I don't know, it comes across differently. And so we took advantage of using it for other stuff.
I wasn't referring particularly to the Marco Polo app. I was referring to all of the things that you said there, actually. So,
Larry, by now, I'm like this type A control freak. I can't help myself. I'm probably going to make our incoming president nuts.
Mm.
You make a good point, Larry, because none of what we're sharing here is meant to go, okay, so that's how Julie's doing it. You all better copy her. That is not the point of this support call. The point of the support call is to go, I'm struggling, I need help. We share ideas. Or, hey, I'm doing some things. Oh, that sounds cool. That would work for me. So just a reminder, this is not an opportunity for your inner dialogue to go, I'm not doing enough and I am not good enough. That is not the point of this call. The point of this call is to share and find things that are useful to you. In Julie's case, those work for her. And it may sound like a lot to some of you. It's probably feeding her and her team the way they function. So somebody take Julie's topic and run with it, or start your own. Like, what are you doing in your chapter for your transition to help?
I just think that the emails too that you've sent that say like, please forward, is just really helpful, in the transition, because it helps me to know, like, all right, this is information that Vicki feels it should be passed along. And I really feel like you set us up for success. I mean, as soon as the president decided that they were going to take that role, it's like I already had all the tools to pass over to them. And knowing that I had been part of it, like I remembered what I struggled with or what I felt needed to be clarified further. So my best practice was really around doing my best to set the president up. And then, of course, check-ins. I checked in with them. Hey, how many people do we still need to get confirmation? Maybe if you send me that list, I can personally nudge them tomorrow at our, in-person meeting. So, just things like that, just making sure that they feel they have all the tools, which BNI provides, and then just saying, can I support you?
I'm glad that those emails are useful. I last year had a couple of people say the emails are too long, and I was like, yeah, there's a lot of information in them. So I'm glad that you find them useful. I'm sure there are people who get them and they're just like, it's too much, which is why I try to make the email like headers. So you can just go through and read the headers and then ignore everything else until you're like,
oh yeah, I think your emails are very easy to go like, all right, like you're like, please take action, highlight. Like,
yes. Yeah. So trying.
It's really good. Yeah.
Okay, good. The emails are helpful for you. May not be for others, but I'm glad they work for you. Good. How else have folks been doing with this transition? You can take Julie or Julie's topics and do your own.
So ours is relatively easy and smooth as far as the leadership team, because our current VP is going to be president and our current secretary treasurer is going to be VP. And they've both, even prior to this, held those positions. And so I've asked if they need any help, but they seem to have everything under control. Every week I offer, now that we're back in person, we don't do the weekly. When we were on Zoom, we were doing weekly meetings on Wednesday for a half hour just to coordinate and get everything for Friday morning. But now that we're back in person, we're able to do that at the before the meeting starts because we're there early, and then at the end of the meeting, if there's anything new to touch base on. So I was able to get rid of that Zoom meeting off my calendar, which was nice. And as well as the PowerPoint. But Julie is like over high achiever, because I went to their first in-person meeting last week, and yes, they're in person, but they're also doing a PowerPoint. And I was like, oh my gosh. But so our transition is relatively smooth. It's kind of nice having the continuity of at least one person from this leadership team into the next. I will say, I like the idea that they're not in the same position that they were already in, because I see the, at least most of the other chapters that I've seen where that's happened, they never make it usually a full term still engaged and on it. Like they just, it's burnout. At least with a different position, you have different tasks and a different focus. So yeah, relatively easy.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vicky kept saying I was going to get burnout. I wasn't allowed to stay on for another year. I was like, Vicky, you're crazy. I got this. And I am at that point right now. Our vice president, secretary, treasurer are going to stay on. We only have 5 people. Our upcoming president is pretty much right on my hip and everything I do. So I'm training her as we go. Julie Goodall, how did that go? How'd your first meeting go? I remember how nervous you were. Obviously, Roseanne liked it.
I'm glad Roseanne liked it. I thought it went okay. It was uncomfortable, right? I mean, it's the first time I've ever done in person. I'm terrified of public speaking. Zoom is different. It's still scary, but it's just different. And I felt a little clunky and a little fractured. Like I couldn't tell if it was going smoothly. It felt like it was going fast. It felt like I was like rushing through things, and I don't know if I was or not. But I think it went well. I've definitely made a list of things I want to do differently for our next one, like to kind of make it a little smoother, but it went pretty well.
Awesome. I'm glad it went well.
I think it went well. I was the same way. You would think I'd have it completely memorized after 6 plus 8 months, 9 months on Zoom. However, when you have the script that's right there on your screen, you're able to, I had it set up so it was right where my camera was, so that it didn't look like I was reading everything word for word. However, pretty much that's what I was doing. And what I noticed is each week, because May was our first meeting in person, each week got easier and easier. And each week I had things I wanted to tweak. And then 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I was at Queen City and they had a couple things that then I injected those in there. But one thing I will say, because we're in the same boat that you guys are with having less referral partners than when we were previously in person, don't try and stretch the meeting to fit. The whole point of our meeting is that it is on time and we're not wasting time. And so with 23 referral partners, we're in the same boat. We're usually between 5 and 10 minutes early every week. And that's fine because we plan on growing. That way we don't have to change stuff when we do grow. And I get frustrated when I go to some meetings where they have 10 people and somehow they still take 90 minutes. Like, how is that possible? So.
Relax on the 60 seconds timing, things like that.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I must admit, I went to a meeting recently that was a smaller group and they took the full 90 minutes. And I didn't feel at any time like the meeting was being added on unnecessarily. The president was very purposeful in, like, they gave a full 5 minutes for the networking ed. They also added, as part of their networking ed, a social media education. And so they had the whole chapter do something for their business on social media. So they added 3 minutes for that. And then they had whatever. They did things that were business appropriate and fit in with the agenda that I thought was really interesting. They did 4 minutes for Q&A instead of 2 because they were a smaller chapter, and the chapter asked questions and there were dialogues after the feature. So I'm a big fan of exactly what you said. Don't fill the time to fill the time. Run a meeting. Yes, run a meeting. That's useful. And if it takes the 90 minutes, good. Yeah. Hey, Chad, you mentioned that your incoming president is on top of everything. How else are there any special things or that you're doing for that transition as well, since you've got 2 people staying on?
We meet, as you guys know, we meet every Friday morning at 8:30 for sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. It just depends. And she's been coming for the last 3 weeks, I think now. And we get her involved. I kind of like sit on the sidelines and let her interact with what we think we need to do for the next meeting. And I try to push her to get her ideas and make her feel like just because she's coming on in October doesn't mean she's not already a part of the team now. Basically, I'm trying to do it the opposite of how I got brought in. Mine was a little different from VP to president. And so I try to get her as included as I possibly can. And I told her, I was like, even though we're going back to in-person indefinitely in August, like I still need to teach you how to run a Zoom meeting in case something happens and, someone gets sick and we have to, do it on Zoom, or there's a holiday and we decide to meet, or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to take some time, and I think this next week will be our last Zoom meeting. I'm going to either have her run the PowerPoint or just run it with me. There's 5 of us with no visitors. Like, it's the perfect time to teach her how to do it, where nobody's going to, frown upon her taking her time to learn how to do it.
And hey, Chad, that reminds me, I want to remind you all, and you might pass this on to your incoming leadership teams, I'm still paying for your pro Zoom accounts. Those aren't going anywhere. Like, whether your chapter meets permanently online or permanently in person or any kind of in between, that's part of my budgeting, is the pro accounts, and they won't change. Like, that's your pro, that's Middlebury's pro account and Queen City's pro account and Wealth Village's pro account. You'll keep those. So yeah. How else are folks doing transition stuff?
I guess I'll say something. Sorry I'm late. We lost internet here at Wendell's, so I'm sorry that I'm on my phone. But well, my transition is a little wonky. I mean, I came in like 3-4 months ago as president, 3 months ago as president, and I'm the new incoming president still. And then I have VP lined up and everything, and then I'm running into a little bit of some issues with some member apathy, which is a little frustrating. Of just with getting people to be involved. I feel like I have to push harder than I should to involve people in things, which is a little frustrating sometimes.
This came up in our ambassador meeting, and I think the best thing that I took out of that was, if you're having problems filling those slots, make sure, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but sell the fact that they can leverage that membership. You automatically get credibility by being in one of those roles. When you visit another chapter, you're introduced as that role for your chapter. So not only are you representing your business, you're representing your chapter, but you get instant credibility.
Yeah.
So when trying to sell that role, hey, listen, you get instant credibility sitting in that seat. If you need to talk to somebody further about how to leverage that membership, there's plenty of people that they can have that discussion with them.
Sure.
Think of it like I think of it like other advertising. Let's say you've been doing radio advertising for years. Mm-hmm. Taking on a role in a BNI chapter is like changing to a different slot, a different time slot. So Tuesdays at 3:00, and you get Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3:00, your radio ad goes out. Well, now you're taking a different role in the chapter. So now your ad's going out at noon on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. You're getting a different audience. You're getting a different opportunity to say different things about yourself to different people. This is exactly what we're doing in BNI is you're giving yourself a different slot, a different soapbox to stand on and say, hey, check me out being an event coordinator. Imagine me working with your clients. Check me out being a vice president. Imagine me working with your friends. So you're dead on, Chad. I think people forget that in this kind of marketing, what you do is what gets you referrals, or what you don't do is what gets you referral, not referrals. For some people to remember, to recognize that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
At Heart of Vermont, we were sort of in a similar position as Roseanne, that the incoming leadership team is all highly experienced and have served in different roles already, and so the transition is, I think, quite smooth and uneventful. Quite frankly, all of the roles have been filled, have been spoken for with no difficulty. I'm happy to say that people, when asked, said sure. Nobody had to have their arm twisted to do a role, which was nice. Right now, it's not summer doldrums, but it's summer vacations and activities, and it's really hard to sort of get a lot of people to engage, and me included, in all the different activities that need to go on. But I for one feel highly confident that the transition to the new team is going to be really successful. So
That's awesome. Yeah. Sorry, Alex, that you're having the bump. It's happened. It's happened that with some chapters have had transitions that have required a lot more time and discussion.
I think a lot of it is we're also, while transitioning to a new leadership team, we're also transitioning to more in-person meetings, and people are getting used to that again. And we have referral partners that are not used to going to regular meetings in person, and so I don't know. I think it's a combination of things. We're now going to be doing every other week in person. To try and roll into every week in person. And I think it's partially just a lot of changes all at once, I think, is freaking some people out, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, our brains have gotten used to like the convenience of online, which is a bit of a bummer because for most people, it's actually not effective. It's not working. Most people, it's not working, but they don't know it. They're so used to the convenience factor and not the efficiency, not the effectiveness factor. So that is a real.
Yeah, we were running into people. We were doing votes on chapter votes on whether or not to go back to in person, and we discovered very quickly that a lot of people were voting out of convenience rather than comfortability. And so that we finally are able to slowly roll into more in person, reminding people that it is more effective if we're all in person, face to face versus on Zoom.
When we did our poll, we didn't ask, the way we asked it was with health concern. I don't remember the phrasing, but it did not, it wasn't, are you fine going back to in person? It was based on, from a health standpoint, it had nothing to do with convenience or preference. And I'm glad we just jumped in and went back to in person full time, starting in May. And I like the fact that we did that. I think going back and forth, or one a month or whatever it is, I think it's very difficult to keep track of, at least in my mind, to keep track of everything, not just for referral partners, but then visitors or substitutes. Is this a week you're online? Is this a week that you're in person? Do I have to calculate my travel time this week, but then next week I get to sleep in and wear pajamas on the bottom, like.
Yeah, especially because the email that goes out to people as a visitor, like, says one thing. And so you're right.
Sorry.
Like, it would just be, well, no, that's.
I have sent like 4 emails to support saying you need to make this a priority. Like, you are not a corporation. Your job is to move with hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs. The system needs to be flexible. And the response I got most recently from my most recent email said, we're working on it. I was like, okay, I need it worked on yesterday, not today. I need it done yesterday, not today. I think a lot of regions have just said, I'm the executive director. You can either meet first meeting of the month in person, or all online, and we're not giving you any options. And I'm like, I'm just not one of those executives. I don't tell my chapters what day of the week they have. Like some regions, the executive only hosts meetings at 6:30 or 7 a.m. There are no chapters at 8 or 8:30 or 9 or 11:30. Like, and I've just always been really flexible. So I think I'm a pain in the butt to BNI because I just let you guys do what you
Do you?
do. And then the software doesn't keep up with me. So thank you. You're right. For you hybrid folks, those visitor emails are a pain in the butt because if you're listed as hybrid, only the first meeting of the month is the in-person visitor email. The rest of the emails every month say you're on Zoom, even if you're meeting in person. I can't.
Let me just
emails off.
Let me offer the glass half full view on that, Vicky, is that I think it gives their visitor host team an opportunity to reach out to visitors and have a connection with them. Just checking to make sure that you know that our meeting is going to be in person or online. I know the emails are a little confusing right now because we're going through this transition, and then you begin a conversation and tell me a little bit about your business and who, and so it's an opportunity for a conversation that wasn't there before.
Well
Yeah.
said, Larry. Thank you.
Trained our visitor host for that. It was very helpful to, I was the visitor host coordinator and I made 2 separate emails. And so I made sure that our visitor host, when they send the follow-up email after the email, we always send one separately from the BNI email, always. And then make sure there's always that extra connection and then the reminder of in-person and things. So that hasn't been too bad for us.
And our visitor host does the same and has throughout, even when we were on Zoom, had always sent out a separate email. Since we meet on Friday, I think she sent it Monday or Tuesday. To whoever was a registered visitor and included, I did a video of welcoming them and that type of thing. So she would include that video and let them know we were on Zoom with the link. And now she lets them know that this is where we're meeting and she attaches a map to it so that it's easy to find. I don't know that it's not that it's hard, but that it's easy to find. I think I'm one of those people that I feel like the local and the corporate should match. And that to me is a discrepancy. I agree that the visitor host should be on top of it and reaching out. It's just, to me, it's like, why am I getting an email that's saying it's on Zoom? And then I get an email saying from someone else saying it's in person. Who am I supposed to believe?
Which
It's a disconnect.
Which is why I've sort of insisted that our visitor host call every visitor. Emails are not the way to interact with visitors. Calls are.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more, Roseanne. That's why I keep keeping on touch with the Connect team and saying, please help us give our visitors a better experience by having a software meet our needs. And I know I'm not the only region. I know Vicky is not that special in Vermont. There are other regions that are doing this and that need it as well. So I will be sure in the leadership team update email, the minute they make this change, I'll be like, guess what? So I will be sure to let you know. Yeah.
Our biggest issue with that is that we have 5 people. So we're all kind of doing everything.
Everything. Yep. Yeah. Chapter size. It does this. Very rarely do we just through a term. Yep. Who else? Leadership team transition.
Ours is obviously similar, that we've all just jumped into the roles. Sue has done all of the roles previously, so she's a natural at the vice president role and guiding the ship and helping us out. Myself, I've just witnessed it. I've never actually done it, so it's new to me. And that's why we figured after going through this midterm transition to stick with it for a year, because it's silly to do it for 3 months or 4 months and then jump back. And we're also going to try to go live. We're doing a first weekend in August, or first week of August, we're going to do a live meeting. So
It's just once or full time?
We're at the moment, the plan is first week of each month.
Nice.
And so we may then, we'll see how it goes and may jump right back into it. I don't know. We have to talk about it.
Great.
We made the step. We've got the space, we've got the stuff. I got all our president's box and banners and signs and all that. And we found our projector. And so we'll be there.
I love it. Actually, Ricky, remind me, could you, and actually Alex too, because I noticed you both said that there are going to be some changes. Rick, could you shoot me an email or a text message and say that you're going back in August so I can update the system so it sends the correct visitor emails for that? And Alex, same thing, since you guys are going back to every other week instead of once a month, could you shoot me a quick email just so I make my updates on my end? I also have ambassador visits and stuff, so I want to inform ambassadors. Oh, you were scheduled to be at this meeting. It was Zoom, now it's in person, so it helps me manage my team.
Yep. No
So
problem.
text or email is great.
Two people that I need to get the transition form to, and I can't find the links to that.
I got you.
Sue is in Texas right now and doesn't have access to her computer, so she doesn't have them. And where she told me to look, I can't find them. So
Here is the link. I put the link I'm about to send you is in every Monday's leadership team update email. If you click I'm just going to put it in the chat, but it went out yesterday too. Bam, that is a spreadsheet that has all of the confirmation forms in it.
okay.
Yeah, and like I said, if you leave today's Zoom meeting and you can't find it, go to the leadership team email that was sent yesterday morning at 7:30. It's like the first thing in the leadership team email, like a link that says confirmation forms. Thank you. That makes my job so much easier. I can get all your partners registered. I can get them all their manuals. Like you're helping me spend a lot less time doing admin by having the confirmation form submitted. And a reminder, folks, that even if somebody isn't taking a role on, have them fill out the non-role confirmation form, because when 100% of your chapter attends training, we're going to do $250 in branding for your chapter. Okay. So, and I love that, always makes me feel so good, like setting that money aside and hoping that I'm going to be dropping, several thousands of dollars on whatever you guys want for each of your individual teams. Yeah.
Can I ask a question that's not relevant to transition, or maybe it is just
Absolutely, go for it.
bit. Those of you who are full-time with in-person, what's the
mask situation for your meetings? So, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as Larry knows, because he visited us, we're just doing it optionally.
Yeah, same.
Ours is optional. We did a 10-point either education or membership committee moments the 6 weeks leading up to going back to in-person. And we made it clear that masks were optional, and we do have them we have a kit of hand sanitizer and a kit of masks. So there's hand sanitizer on every single table and have masks available. Each meeting, we have anywhere from 2 to 5 people wearing masks, and then they'll take them down when when they get up to do their weekly presentation. And one of the people that wears masks, she even had her feature presentation and, took it off for that. But other than that is masked, but it's completely optional. And part of our the ed moment that we did for that was saying it's completely optional, and that everybody has their reasons for either wearing it or not wearing it, and left it pretty much at that. But that everybody should assume that there's somebody who's not vaccinated, that there's that was part of our education around that. And we had one member referral partner that came, and when they walked in, seemed like completely fine, but throughout the meeting was like coughing a bit and stuff like that. And so someone from our membership committee reached out to them, because that was another point. If you're sick, don't come. We were more eloquent than that, but that was the gist of it. And so we had someone from the membership committee reach out to that referral partner, that we appreciate their diligence in trying to come, but I mean, I understand it's allergy season, but if you are sniffling, sneezing, coughing, anything that could potentially be a COVID thing, that's what absences are for. And we made that clear. So.
Do you know if, for the folks that are in person, do you know if that welcome email to your visitors also addresses the optional mask thing?
The
I
one
do
that-
not know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Ours does.
I think that I made the email originally. I think for the in-person, I think I did say something about masks being optional when we switched to that. I believe. I have to double check, but
Might be a nice thing to just double check. We don't know our visitors. Making sure that they understand that we encourage masks for the people who feel safe wearing masks. And yeah. And also just something I learned through my DEI study. For those of you that don't know what DEI, it stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of the things that I learned hard about DEI is that when you are the majority, you have to go out of your way to stand up for the minority. And right now, the mask wearing is the minority. So if you have a partner in your chapter who's wearing a mask or a visitor who wears a mask, tell them thank you. Say, we really like, good for you. Like, because they're the minority, as the majority, say, recognizing them, say, you know, is really powerful and makes them feel included.
Yeah, that part I don't think has been an issue because our, the handful of referral partners that are wearing them, I've talked to an open networking and everything, and they're completely comfortable with their decision. And we have had visitors, and we've had a couple of visitors wear a mask. And so.
Yeah, very cool. Is anybody doing like a sign, like green, the thing that I did at the awards banquet with the green, yellow, red thing?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
we do. So we're in person as of right now. First meeting of every month. We have stickers, green, red, and yellow. When we had a bigger chapter, now that it's just the 5 of us, we talked about it. We all know how we feel. But if we have a visitor come in, I always leave them out. We ask them if, hey, if you'd like to wear a mask, you're more than welcome to wear a mask. And if you'd like to put a green, yellow, or red sticker on your, on your name tag, we can do that as well. I think just being transparent is the best medicine in this situation, because without asking the question, we don't know. We all know what the saying is when you assume. So that's the best thing, in my opinion, to do, is just ask, just be transparent.
Yeah, we have the green, yellow, and red stickers that are available at the visitor host table when people come in. We've left it optional, like we're not telling people they have to do it, but they're there when they do their name tag, when they come in, that it's there if they would like that. And then, like I said, we have masks out there, but generally the people who are wearing masks, have their own and stuff. But also if somebody comes in, we have the KN95s and the blue, like surgically ones.
Wow, that's generous. That's very generous. Larry, does this help, or do you want to take this topic about mask wearing in another direction?
No, it helps. I'm just curious what was going on with everyone else. So.
And an interesting note, I was talking, this is a hot topic in my dance studio because you're huffing and puffing while you dance. And we noticed yesterday that there have been 17 cases of COVID. Oh, there was just a message about it. I could pull it up. Like, it was like the numbers are very low right now in Vermont. And that ebb and flow is just, I think, part of the norm now. And I think,
I think there's a portion of the low number that, because of home testing kits and stuff, there's a lot of have it that are not reporting it.
And the testing, all the state testing centers are now closed down. So there's not as much opportunity to, and I mean, if you test positive at home, most people aren't going to register through the state.
That's right. Good point. Very good point.
You're correct, because when we did, I didn't register it with the state. You're correct. I just felt like crap.
Well, and speaking for myself, a piece of it is I got my second booster in May. So I also look at when I've been boosted and what after about 90 days, it starts going down. So in August, I'm going to start wearing my mask more often because your immunity starts dropping off drastically after 90 days, even though they tell you not to get, you're only getting boosted every 6 months. So the combination of where I am vaccinated wise and whatever's going on with the counts and if I'm traveling or not, but I did my booster because I was traveling in June and July. And so I did it then so that I would be more comfortable being on airplanes and all of that kind of stuff. Not just here, but in August, I'll go back to having my mask on at grocery stores and all that kind of stuff. Right now, I feel like I have enough immunity because of the booster. Not that I can't get sick, but feel kind of confident. And most of the things I'm going to outside of the grocery store are outside. I'm not inside very much with a bunch of people other than BNI meetings. So
Must have been having flown back from Denver yesterday. I was very surprised at how few people were wearing masks on the plane. And when I got on the plane to come back to Vermont and I just saw that like not a lot of people were wearing masks, I double masked. I was just like, this is recirculated air and I know that they have filters, but I don't like it.
Yeah. Won't catch me on a plane.
Oh, too funny.
Not a place for me to go right now. Yeah, 2 or 3 clients have this. Just yesterday, I had a client call me Sunday and say, I just tested positive, so it'd be better if you guys don't come. We'll reschedule. It's just, let me know when you're better. And
Yep.
I have another guy that we're doing a new house for him. It's next to his existing house. It's an old house, a renovation, but basically it's totally gutted. So it's like a new house. And he says, I've got COVID. I'm just not coming to the house. I'll be from outside the window if you need to, but we'll do everything via email and phone calls. And so that's working for us. We can continue working without the interaction with the person directly. He said he's been working with his carpenter by coming over and yelling from outside the window and separating that way, talking to each other. So the other one, yeah. Green side, with the guy laying the sod.
I think this is, this kind of back and forth is, I don't know, is it the new norm? We'll know in 2026 if this is the new norm. We can definitely all agree that it's part of a current and incoming leadership team stuff, that these discussions, your new leadership team in October and next March and next August, I think that this is going to be normal. And I did in a recent call with BNI about COVID, they said there's a high likelihood in the next 5 years that there will be another pandemic with a different strain. Yeah, that's what the whoever was talking in this call to us executives about the future of BNI was saying that in talking with the epidemiologists, that they're like, the population of the planet is so high that this will become a new norm unless the population drops down to close to 5 billion, which then that would drop, then the pandemics would stop. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're at 8 billion. So Vicky's not going to be exiting to help with the pandemic. So I don't know what they meant by that. All right. All right, so let's talk. I wanted to give you guys some room to talk about the August 30th business plan workshop. A reminder that this is for both teams. It's really, really important that both teams get in on this. And a few weeks before the business plan workshop, I'll be sending out, oh no, I don't have to send it out. I'm just going to be sending out an email that says, here's your dashboard, review it. Because one of the big time sucks of the workshop is trying to get an idea of who the chapter is. No, it's not new, Caroline, that both teams, the business plan workshop is so that the outcoming team can help the incoming team create their business plan. So this is something we've been doing for many years. So August 30th on Zoom from 12 to 3, I do a little presentation at the beginning and then I put each chapter into a breakout room. Just discuss the trends of the last year or the last few years, And then, okay, outgoing team is helping the incoming team say, okay, so based on trends or based on your goals, what do you want for Thank You for Closed Business while you're at the helm? What do you want for chapter size? What are the things that motivate you? And part of that discussion is going to come from each person in that room having an idea about where your chapter has come from. And that's where each chapter dashboard is going to be really, really powerful. So
I remember that from last year now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've had a number of folks in years past say, we weren't able to finish our business plan in the workshop. And I'm like, yes. And it's usually the groups that come unprepared. Like they got the email a couple of weeks before the workshop, but they didn't go onto the dashboard to kind of look at referral trends or money trends or chapter size trends or visitor conversion trends. And so they're doing all of that kind of discovery in the workshop. So it's hard to get to results if you're spending all the time in discovery in the workshop. So I really, really encourage, you've got a month and a half before the business plan workshop. My plan is in August, I'll be going into each dashboard and having each leadership team adding all the new leadership teams onto the current dashboards. But frankly, all of you folks are editors on your dashboards. So if you want to add your incoming leadership team now to your dashboard, go for it. Like I'm just not going to do that admin work until we get closer to the workshop.
Sure, this was said, but is it on Zoom or in person?
It's on Zoom.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, or when you sent that out to the incoming leadership and you sent the dashboard was sent, there's kind of some good thought-provoking questions so that when they're looking at these things like the dashboard, they like you were just saying, like looking for trends, is there some guidance to that? Am I remembering that there was?
I hadn't done that, but that's a great point. Like when I send out that email saying, okay, so on this report, look for these kinds of things. On this tab, look for these kind of things to help people think about like what they're looking for. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I think that because I remember coming vaguely prepared because I'm kind of one of those people who likes spreadsheets and likes data. So I was like, oh, what does all this mean? But then like, remember my team members not feeling at all like they knew at any bit what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do feel like I struggled a little, especially like we as a new leadership team. So I'm like thinking if there was something like that, or if I did like a message with it for them that, you know, like a video, like Julia she uses, it just like comes across differently. If I had like, you could do like record a Zoom almost of you like walking them through those.
Yeah. I could put a video together of me going through a dashboard tab by tab.
I think that would be genius, Vicky.
And just say, here's tab 1. Here's what you're looking for. What do you see? Here's tab 2. Here's what you're looking for. What do you see? Here's tab la 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 la.
Yeah.
If I get really organized, I could even say at minute 306, that's where we talk about this tab. At minute 704, this is where they can walk through the YouTube video.
Put it on Marco Polo.
Yeah.
Marco Polo.
This is where you need a bigger team right here.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it so much.
I know it is. It's adding more to the plate, but I do think, again, speaking from experience, that would be extremely beneficial.
It's funny you say it's beneficial to you being the one that likes spreadsheets and data. I'm the opposite of you, and I feel like it'd be beneficial to me.
You know what's fascinating is I'm not really a data person. You know what I use data for? To confirm that the relationships I'm using are working.
Yeah.
Yes. Information that I'm doing a good job.
Yes.
It's like, so I'm not a huge data person. I'm much more a people person. So I think that's why I provide it, because I think most chapters have at least one person who's data motivated. And because we give that outlet, it helps get your chapter stronger. So. Yeah. And the nice thing about that video is, seriously, it would take me, the video might be 10 to 20 minutes long. So it would be a longer video, but then I would never have to recreate it again. I would just send it out every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not a huge time commitment. I'm already sending out emails. So
I will also say I just went into ours to make sure everybody was on there. There were a couple people that are no longer in our chapter that removed access. I doubt they're
good
doing
point.
anything because I know who they are. At the same time, I just scooted them out.
Yeah. So this is the link to register for August 30th. My request is that each of you register, make sure your current leadership team is registered, and make sure your incoming leadership. Don't wait another week or two. It's July 19th. If we get too close, people will be like, I didn't know I had to go. It's a month and a half from today. And no, there's no follow-up. Like, we're not doing a second thing. This is the business plan workshop. And of course, you as a team can meet afterwards. No, we're not recording it. Yes, all the paperwork that'll be included in the workshop will be sent out via email beforehand. So if somebody's like, oh, I'm already on vacation that week on the 30th, that, you guys can catch up with them if they can't be involved. Anybody have any other questions, insights, or concerns about the August 30th business plan workshop? A reminder to everybody who's current, you have access to all of your chapter's previous business plans and the notes from those business plans in your chapter's dashboard. Nope, in your chapter's Google Drive folder. So if you go to your Google Drive folder for your chapter, there's a folder that says like LT transition or chapter business plan. Like, it's the folder name makes sense when you're in there. And we just those each year to that. So if you want to see what's been discussed in 2017 or 2020 or 2021. Yeah. And then for the August 15th roundtable, that's required for current leadership teams. It is, what's the word? Voluntary for incoming. So the incoming president, VP, and secretary highly encourage. This one is in person. It is in person. We're going to be at the Richmond Free Library. Beautiful big windows, big room. Masks are optional. So let's see. We are going to be talking about things I've already got linked for that agenda include the Drive for 5 that we do from September to December. So Drive for 5, I'll be giving out flyers. Where are my topics? I didn't cut this over from my other document. What topics would you like to see while I pull up my notes for August 15th?
Don't know. I've never been to one, so.
Your first roundtable. Yay. That makes me happy.
Growing the chapters again, now that we're like back in person, I think would be like a really good topic, how to leverage being back in person and getting people excited to network again.
Nice. Right. Other topics that folks are motivated by?
There was a really cool one we did at that chapter success program, Vicki. It was like top 10 things a BNI person does to be successful. I loved that. It covers so many things too. So.
Yeah, that whole sheet we do, it's all about mindset, which hell, if you want to lose weight, if you want to raise kids, you want to run a business, you want to be in a chapter, the way you think about things, it's incredible how much control we have over results based on the way we think about things. So like culture, I think that's what that quote, culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's like, you strategize. It doesn't work at all. If every time something goes wrong, you go, it's on fire, it's on fire. It's like, well, then it's going to keep being on fire. Enjoy the fire, versus, the kid threw up. Okay, let's figure it out. Oh, my client canceled on me. Okay, let's figure it out. Oh, something, went wrong in my BNI chapter. Okay, let's figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other topics that are interesting to folks for the roundtable.
I think much like Larry did, if there's a moment just to double check with everybody or check in to see if they have any questions around in person. Because I think we're like, I don't know, maybe, is it 50-50?
We have two. Oh no, Wealth Builders is going back to in person. We only have one chapter that's virtual, Champlain Valley. Everybody else has some version of in person. So in person meeting discussions. Yeah.
Not so much about topics, Vicky, but about process. A 3-hour meeting is a long meeting, and I've said this to you before. So as much opportunity to participate in small breakout sessions as possible is, I think, always a good way to keep people engaged.
So that's actually a great question. How many of you here have been to an in-person roundtable? Okay, so thoughts, because one of the things somebody told me was when we go back to in-person, we don't need to do all the Zoom breakouts that we did to keep people engaged in Zoom. So for the folks that have been in the in-person 3 hours, there's so much group dialogue. We do one breakout when we're in person, but we don't do lots of them. What are your thoughts on keeping it the way we had done it before? We did one breakout and then everything else was just like everybody discussing stuff.
I think it's fine because we have a break halfway through instead of having 2 breaks like when we're on Zoom. I think the biggest thing that I noticed previously is to spend the least amount of time on the BNI global big stuff. I mean, not to ignore it, but those are like quick bullet points because a lot of it doesn't necessarily trickle down or pertain yet. Like,
yeah, and there isn't much going on at BNI Global right now. They seem to be really preoccupied with, gosh, what are they preoccupied right now with? Yeah, see, whatever they're doing, I'm not really, it's quiet on their front, so yeah, good.
And then I would spend some time a little bit because we went from, I was trying to find something from the old logo to the new logo and let people know how, I don't know if it's still pertinent with some of the chapters, but I mean, we bought quite a bit of stuff with the new logo for our chapter being back in person that when we were on Zoom, we didn't have to do anything for.
Yes. The updated branding is a pain in the butt because it happened in May of 2020 and BNI didn't give us a budget for it. And my membership has gone down in the last 2 years. So I have less money to pay employees and buy closets worth of new stuff. But for 2 years, everything's been virtual. So I have not replaced any of the stuff except for the welcome kits. So even my branding on my end, because everything's been virtual. So that's a great topic. It's like updating the branding, what's coming from the regional side and what might you guys want to do. Yeah. Well. All right. Cool. Well, 10:59, folks. Let's call it a day. So I'm going to see you all again on August 15th for the roundtable. There's the link in the notes document. I can put it in the chat as well. Please get your incoming. That is the link for the roundtable. Please get your incoming leadership teams to join us. I will provide snacks and coffee and water and seltzer and things like that. I will do the green, yellow, reds name stickers for that masking. I will bring masks and hand sanitizer. And by the way, if anybody has the bandwidth to show up at like 1 or 1:30 and help me with setup, God bless you. My plan is to do what I used to do, and that is to set the entire event up and break it down by myself, which is, I'm BNI Vermont, so I know my responsibilities. But if anybody wants to come and get a little workout with me, thank you. All right, I will see you all in August. Thank you for everything you do. If you want to stick around and chat, I'll be here. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
Thanks.
Thanks, Vicky.
You're welcome.